Welcome to the deep dive, where we really dive deep into these topics you guys want to know more about. And today we're going way into I guess you could say the intersection of personal tragedy and resilience and, well, the role of public figures, right? You've asked us to look closer at the events in Southport, England, and how the royal family responded.
And it's a powerful story, really. It makes you think about community healing and just, finding hope when faced with such loss.
It really is something.
Yeah.
So to get everyone on the same page, on July 29th, this peaceful seaside town, Southport, was just rocked by this awful event, a knife attack that took the lives of three young girls, Bebe King, Elsie Doxancom, and Ellis da Silva Aguiar. They were just attending dance class. Can you imagine? And then this happens.
It's a stark reminder, isn't it? It just goes to show how fragile life is, and the fact that it happened in a place that's supposed to be about joy, about creativity. I mean, it makes it that much harder to process.
Totally. This wasn't just some news story. It was a very personal loss for these families and honestly, a collective trauma for the entire community.
And that's what's so interesting to me, because often after these kinds of events, you see communities either coming together or just completely falling apart under all the grief. But with Southport, we saw this incredible show of unity and resilience.
Let's talk more about that for a second. What
Yeah.
what about the community's response really stood out to you?
Well, immediately there was just this huge outpouring of grief and support, but it was more than that, more than just words. Candlelight vigils, these memorials popping up everywhere, and the fundraising efforts for the families. People were so incredibly generous. It was amazing.
It really is incredible to see that kind of solidarity, especially these days.
Exactly. It just proves how fundamental that need to connect is, that need to support one another, especially when we're hurting together. The people there in Southport, they really exemplified that. They showed that even in the darkest times, compassion and that collective strength can really put you on the path toward healing.
That's such an important point. And it wasn't just the community that noticed, right? The royal family, especially Prince William and Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales, showed their support and solidarity with Southport too. And this is where it gets really interesting because this visit, it was also tied to Kate's own personal journey.
Oh, absolutely. It was a big visit for a lot of reasons. Like you said, this was Kate's first public appearance since her cancer treatment.
Yeah.
So the fact that she chose this event with all this emotion for her return, I mean, that says a lot.
Yeah, it really does. Like, you think about how heavy that decision must have been. Coming back to the public eye after something so personal is a big deal on its own. But to do it in a place that's still so raw with grief, it's pretty profound.
It really is. And to me, it says a few things. First, it shows just how dedicated Kate is to her role. She gets the impact she has. She could have gone with something easier for that first appearance back, something less, I don't know, emotionally intense. But she and William both, they felt like being there for Southport mattered, that it was important.
It was a visit that really hit home for people. You could tell. Like, their presence just brought this sense of comfort, of someone understanding what they were going through. Did you get that same feeling from the coverage?
Oh, absolutely. Kate had this quiet strength about her, this empathy you could just feel, even without her saying anything. And William, too, he was so present, so engaged with everyone he talked to.
It's interesting to think about this visit next to, well, Prince Harry's been really open about his mental health lately. This feels like part of a shift in the whole royal family, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're starting to realize that mental health is important, that it's okay to talk about.
Yeah, I think you're right. There used to be this expectation, especially for people in the public eye, that you just put on a brave face, never let them see you sweat, as they say. But it's definitely changing, and honestly, it's a good thing.
And what really struck me about the Southport visit was how much attention they gave to the first responders.
Yeah.
These are the people who see some of the worst stuff imaginable up close. But so often, people forget about their well-being.
Exactly. William and Kate, they went beyond just saying they were sorry. They were really having conversations about mental health, making it clear that it's okay to ask for help to deal with trauma. They even made this donation to a fund that's specifically for helping responders, with psychological and physical rehab and all that.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's putting your money where your mouth is, actually backing up those words with action. It's huge. It shows that supporting those on the front lines, the ones running in while everyone else is running out, it's essential.
It is. And I think it shows how society as a whole is changing. We're finally realizing that Trauma leaves scars you can't always see. Mental health is just as important as physical health, and that's huge
It
progress.
really is. Now, I know we've been focusing on Southport, but this visit also got people talking about something bigger.
Mm.
The role of the monarchy. Like, what's their place in the modern world? What's fascinating is that the royal family being there kind of lit a fire under this whole debate about the role of the monarchy in the modern world. It raises all these questions.
Yeah, it does. Some people say that this kind of thing, the royal family participating in these tragedies, it's a modern take on their traditional role,
Yeah.
That they've always been there to offer comfort and stability when the country's going through something big.
I get that viewpoint. They've always been involved, like during wars, famines, big disasters. So maybe this visit, even though it's a little different, maybe it's just a natural next step in their role.
But others think that it's not appropriate, that putting themselves out there publicly like this, that it puts too much pressure on people like William and Kate to be the face of everyone's sorrow.
That's a real concern, you know? There's a delicate balance between offering support and making people feel like they have to rely on you, especially when these things are so personal, so painful.
It's all about finding that balance, right? Where you fulfill your public duties, but still respect the private side of grief.
But what's really interesting to me, and I think this is where things get extra fascinating, is how these events really show how much humans need to connect to find shared meaning, even when we're losing so much.
Yeah, you're right. The tragedy in Southport, how the community responded, and the royal family getting involved, it all shows that we really need that human connection to find comfort in shared experiences.
And that's something we can all understand, no matter who we are, what we believe.
Exactly. It cuts through all the social divides, reminds us that we're all connected, that we experience the good and the bad together.
So, as we wrap this up, what do you think is the biggest takeaway here?
I think it's the resilience of the human spirit. The tragedy in Southport was a brutal reminder of how fragile life is, but it also showed us the incredible power of community, the kindness of strangers, and the hope that can bloom even in the darkest times.
Well said. It's a reminder that we all have the capacity to be compassionate, to offer support, to build each other up, especially when things are tough.
And maybe that's the most valuable lesson we can learn from this whole deep dive, that we're stronger as individuals, way stronger when we work together, when we stand together, when we support one another.
Powerful stuff.
Uh,
And a beautiful way to end it. So until next time, we'll leave you with a thought. How can we as individuals build stronger, more resilient communities in our own lives? Where do we find the courage to offer support, even when we're struggling ourselves?
That's a question worth thinking about, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.